To make a mug out of a slab of clay, start with a chunk of clay, a rolling pin, a potter's needle, and a pre-made paper template. This template is longer than it is wide, so I need to roll my slab of clay out to match the length of the template. I will be focusing on rolling in the same direction to stretch the clay outward that way. Begin to roll out the clay, flipping it occasionally so that both sides are smoothed and both sides stretch out any extra wrinkles from the fabric. Check the template periodically to see if the size of your clay matches. While rolling the clay, be sure to apply even pressure over the clay so that you don't create any thin patches. It's very important that our slab of clay be consistent in thickness so that when we assemble the mug, the walls of the mug are the same thickness all the way around. You may want to check and see if any areas of the clay are thinner towards the edges and avoid trimming it off of those areas. When your clay slab is large enough for your template, place the template on the slab of clay and trim around the template. As you trim your template out of the clay, set aside your scraps for later. Check again to make sure that there are no thin patches in your slab of clay. The template will be curled around to form sort of a cylinder shape, but our design will flare outward towards the mouth of the mug and have a narrower base. Take a cleanup tool with a bladed edge and be ready for a bevel cut. Hold the tool at a sharp 45-degree angle with the handle pointing inward towards the slab. Cut the top corner off of the outer edge of the template slab. This is a bevel cut so that it is a diagonal, like a ramp. Carefully lift the entire slab up and flip it to the other side. Taking your tool at the same angle and then on the same side that you were focusing on, do another bevel cut now that you flipped it. Again, I'm cutting about a 45-degree angle to get rid of the sharp square end on my template. Once both sides have been cut at a bevel edge, you can check to make sure that they fit together. The diagonal cut will allow the two edges to meet flush. Gather some slip, something to score your clay, and something to apply the slip. And slip and score both beveled edges so that they can be pressed together. Focus on scoring along the bevel cut. You'll need to flip the other edge up so that you can see the bevel cut, and again, score this part. Apply a little bit of slip to your scored edge along the bevel cut. Carefully grab the other bevel edge and bring them together. If the clay is soft, it may be a little tricky. If you put one hand and support the clay from the inside of the mug, you can gently press with the other hand on the outside seam. Press just enough to get the clay to stick together along your slip and score. You should be able to lift your mug shape up and focus on the inside and outside seams so that you can smoothly blend the clay together. The beveled edges should fit together flush so that you can smooth and blend the seam away to make it invisible. Be sure to adjust the shape of your mug while you work to try and maintain a smooth, round shape. You can use your hands, a rubber rib, or whatever tool you prefer to work at blending away the seam. Get some more clay wedged and roll it out into a slab. You can use a round cookie cutter that matches the diameter of the foot of your mug, or you can place your mug on the slab and simply trim around it so that the shapes match in size. Cut out the circular base and be ready to slip and score it onto your mug. Score both pieces, apply slip, and gently press the base onto the mug. After the base is put on the mug, carefully blend the two pieces of clay together. Gently press parts of the base of the mug up, blending the seams and smoothing it so that it becomes invisible. Don't forget to clean up the inside seam on the base. Take your scraps of clay and wedge them together so that there are no air bubbles. As you're wedging the clay, start to wedge it into a longer rectangular shape. When the clay is in a longer rectangular shape, you can press away the corners and turn it into a very thick coil. Roll the clay on your tabletop until it is rounded, and you may need to cut off some excess depending on how much clay you started with. Continue to roll your coil of clay out until it's approximately the diameter of a quarter or slightly larger than your thumb. Take the coil and gently tap it, hitting it on the tabletop to flatten one side, then the other. Flip it and hit it on the table gently, continuing to flip and repeat. The goal is to thin and flatten the handle, but not to make it completely flat like a slab. Check to make sure the width of the handle is consistent in case any bumps need to be smoothed away. Take a wet sponge and smooth the handle along the length of the coil to further get rid of any fingerprints or inconsistent bumps. Flip the handle's coil and smooth the other side as well. We are smoothing the handle, but also providing extra moisture so that the clay is very flexible. When your handle coil is smooth and consistent in its width, gently press one end to your clayboard so that it sticks. Press the clay down so that it tapers like a ramp to meet your clayboard. With the remainder of the coil, gently flip and curve it over in the opposite direction. Work slowly and carefully in case your clay is dry enough that it cracks at this tension. Shape the handle into a curve like a question mark or 1/2 of a heart. Apply additional moisture to smooth the clay, getting rid of fingerprints, and to encourage the elasticity of the clay. Adjust the curvature on the handle and adjust the shape of the handle so that it matches the height of your mug. Your handle cannot be taller than your mug. When you have an idea of how tall your mug is and how tall your handle should be, you can trim off or pinch off with pressure the additional clay that is no longer needed. While the clay is still soft and flexible, continue to reshape it and adjust the curvature and width of the handle so that it is a comfortable fit in your hand. You want to make sure that most of the fingers of your hand can fit in the grip of this handle. When you're satisfied with the shape of your handle, take it to a hairdryer and hair dry it until enough moisture has left the clay that it is leather hard and it holds its shape. Then take a wire cutting tool and trim the handle off of the board if it's stuck from the shaping process. When the handle is cut loose, you can check that it still fits and is a match to the height of your mug. If there's any excess length on the handle, you can trim it or even it out. Be ready to slip and score your handle onto your mug. Score the top and the bottom part of your handle, and then score the places on the mug where these will match. Both of these areas need to be scored before you apply slip. Attach the handle onto the mug and carefully press the top and bottom of the handle onto the walls of the mug. Smooth it and blend it. As you attach your handle, make sure it is securely attached to the mug. Press the handle on firmly and spend some time blending the seams. When your clay is leather hard or bone dry, take a cleanup tool and spend some time getting rid of any scratches, bumps, or inconsistencies. Be sure to focus on the mouth of the mug to round it out. It's also important to focus on the handle and its attachments. The slip and score process can be messy and leave behind a lot of bumps and slip, so this is your opportunity to clean it up and make it look professional. Don't forget the inside curve of the handle. Making sure it's neat and clean is just as important as the rest of the mug.